Hello, and welcome to the New Mindset, New Woman show. So this is a well-being series for women in midlife, offering expert insights and practical tools to support your holistic wellness. I am Georgina Hickman. I'm a functional medicine practitioner and a band-registered nutritional therapist. I support high-achieving women aged 30 plus with hormonal and digestive issues to help them feel like themselves again. And I'm really excited to have Louise Hughes on the show today. Louise is a British Menopause Society Advanced Accredited Menopause Specialist who runs her own CQC registered menopause clinic. Welcome, Louise.
Hi.
Shall we start with your story? I'd love to have you tell us a little bit more about your journey and what led you to become a menopause specialist.
Oh, yes, well, firstly, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Very exciting. Yeah, as you've introduced me, my name's Louise Hughes, and I have been a nurse for 25 years. I've been an advanced nurse practitioner for 15 years, and during that time, I've kind of navigated into women's health and, in particular, the menopause, which led me to develop this massive passion and drive for women's health. And I set myself on the quest of training to become a British Menopause Society menopause specialist, which was not for the faint-hearted. It was sort of a 6-year slog because to be at the sort of advanced level, you have to do quite intense training with a mentor and meet a set level of competencies to be able to give you the sort of skills and knowledge and expertise to run menopause services. And I realised there was a massive gap for women in that if you need to see a menopause specialist on the NHS in certain areas, it's sort of a 12 to 18 month waiting list.
Yeah.
So I decided to try and set up a service within the NHS to reduce that gap and improve access to services for women. But unfortunately, with the NHS, funding was not available, which just left me very frustrated that I had all this knowledge and skill set to offer women, but wasn't able to utilise it. So I decided to set up my own business and I set up New You Clinic, which again was a few years in the making because I wanted to do it properly, get CQC registered, which is a mammoth task in itself. So I developed New You Clinic, which is a bespoke, holistic, patient-centered menopause service. And the name New You came from helping women feel at their happiest and their healthiest and to live to their fullest potential in life and see menopause as a time to rebirth really into a new person with new confidence and empowerment to go on to the next sort of second chapter of their lives, the second half of their reproductive lives, with power and knowledge and resilience to lead the best life possible, really.
I love that. That's really nice. I love that way of looking at it as a new chapter rather
Yeah,
than
seen it
an
something
ending.
positive because there's a lot of negatives attached to
That's
menopause.
right. That's
And
right.
people obviously experience a lot of distress and impact on the quality of life. So it's about how you can take control of that and be your own cheerleader and really just
Yeah.
enhance what you've got and work with what you've got to utilize all your years of wisdom to be confident and just live your life and enjoy it because that's what we're here for.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, I often hear from my own clients how hard it can be to get support around these sorts of midlife changes. So what exactly do you do as a menopause specialist? And how is what you offer different from what women can typically get through conventional healthcare?
So, being BMS credited means I have the skill set to lead a menopause service, which is that additional knowledge for helping women who may have complex needs. They may have multiple treatment failures. They may have POI, complex medical conditions, high risk cancer genes, hormone dependent cancers. So, it's providing sort of a higher level of expertise for women that may not be able to seek sort of help in normal primary care services. Obviously, I work still as an advanced nurse practitioner for the NHS and I appreciate time restraints and skill set. So you may see a clinician that only has 10 minutes and doesn't really have the knowledge base behind it. And often you just might be just given a prescription. So this
Mhm.
is a way to develop a holistic approach because I feel like medication is only one element to
Yeah.
looking at your life. And you've got to sort of take into into account all the factors, looking at nutrition, looking at movement, looking at self-care, and obviously medication. So I offer a full hour's assessment to sort of unpack and really rebuild your menopause journey, to provide the right tools and the navigation and the right coping mechanisms and strategies to sort of live your life to the fullest. So is the offer there for the one-to-one consultation that's for a full hour with follow-ups and support. And in terms of what makes it different to other menopause services, I've really tried to support women in that. I find a lot of people tell me they're lonely and they're isolated. So I've done lots of support networking in the community to help connect women and network together to support each other. I do a lot of workshops, so just giving people the information and the tools to be able to have the confidence to go off and seek further advice if they want. I offer free advice, collaborations. I do education for businesses because I think it's really important to break that stigma. Stigma breeds silence, and that's where the ignorance comes from. So helping people feel more supported in the workplace, helping manage teams better to improve productivity and retain staff. So it's kind of looking at it from every angle, really, rather than just sat doing a one-to-one consultation. It's being able to get out there into communities, into the real life, into workplaces, and just really try and make a change and a difference to people, and just spread the word. Just keep talking about it, and that's the only way we're going to, stop these barriers to women's health and the menopause, is by normalizing it and reducing that stigma.
Okay. And just going back to what you said about your one-to-one work, so would people typically come to you once they've been through like a
Yeah,
couple of
so
NHS
yeah, some people
appointments and
I
things?
see, they go to their doctors. I mean, I've got lots of examples, but they'd come and they'd say, "Oh, I've been to the doctor. They've said my BMI is 27, so I can't have HRT." Or the
Yeah.
doctor's told me to come back when my periods have stopped, which it's just
Yeah,
that sort
that
of
happens.
misinformation
Yeah.
and frustration. So a lot of women come because they can't access the services through their own primary care provider, or they've been and they've got referred and there's an 18-month waiting list, which
Yeah.
you kind of feel that people come to the doctors or seek help from a healthcare provider when they are at a crisis point, when they need intervention there and then. So to be kind of told you've got to wait 18 months to see a specialist because you've got a complex past medical history, or you've had 5 different types of HRT and it's not working, or you're wanting some support with nutrition and lifestyle, but there's just not the funding and the services there to be provided through the
Yeah.
NHS. So I appreciate, obviously, private is something that is not available for everybody, which is why I do a lot of the support and the community and the networking and the workshops to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. But it's another option that's there for people that may be able to access it if they want to. And I guess we're at a stage where I feel people want to invest in the health. We need to look at that longevity and those protective factors. And, people obviously have gym memberships, or, they go and have the Botox or whatever to make them feel better. So it's just about exploring those other benefits that you can invest into in terms of your long-term health.
Yeah, I mean, I see quite a lot of clients in sort of perimenopausal years as well, dealing with quite a lot of different symptoms, like you say, and then often when people come to me, probably you probably will get some of these sorts of people as well, but they've kind of got to that point where they need help, they need a
Yeah,
personalized level of help, and
absolutely. I think that's the key, the
that yeah, and
personalization
they're
rather
really
than
ready
just,
for change as well,
yes,
so
definitely.
but let's just like talk about that for a minute because the menopause symptom spectrum is so wide, isn't it? There's
Oh,
so many
it's
symptoms.
crazy. I mean, there's over 60 symptoms of the menopause, and a lot
Yeah.
of them I would say are quite multifactorial. So there is a window of opportunity for women where they can improve the symptoms and have
Mm,
those protective benefits for long-term health as well. But I find that women have a few years delay before they seek help, because it's just that expectation of this generation that you kind of just have to put up with things, or
mm,
you have that high level of functioning, stress, because we're working, we have careers, we have children, we have aging parents. They call us this sandwich generation, where you're sort of juggling so many balls, and you just kind of think, oh, everybody has to do, life's supposed to be like this. It's
mm,
supposed to be hard work. And yeah, I'm stressed or I'm anxious, but that's because X, Y, and Z. And it's just trying to make people realize how to put those links together and sort of realize, oh, is it a hormone imbalance? Is it stress reduction? Is it, and they all are interconnected. It's very
Yeah,
complex and
that's
everything's all
true.
intertwined with our physical and mental health. But it's just helping people really unpack and break down what's going on and kind of, I see it as a wardrobe. You're emptying out your wardrobe and then you're putting everything back in again in order in a nice, tidy, sort of logistic, methodological way to be able to
Okay.
sort of deal with life.
Mm. And from your experience, what are the most common symptoms that women struggle with?
Oh, I mean, like I say, there's over 60 symptoms of the
Yeah.
menopause. And one thing I find is that everybody's menopause journey is different. And that's where
Mm.
we home back in on that personalised, holistic, patient-centered approach. Because every single woman I have ever met, I have done a different management plan for because they're an
Mm.
individual with their own sort of things going on in their own life. But I would say if I had to pick the top three, I would definitely say weight gain is a classic one that women struggle with. Tiredness and no energy, that sort of lack of motivation. They kind of say, I've lost my
Mm.
my get up and go. And it's a different exhaustion, I think, with the menopause and hormones, rather than just I'm tired, I've not had a good night's sleep. It's kind of that exhaustion. But again, all those symptoms kind of have a play together. So you're tired, so you don't have good quality sleep, so that makes you anxious, so it makes you want to eat rubbish food, so it causes you to depressed because you put weight on. So it is sort of the symptoms are so entwined. But yeah, tiredness is probably another biggie that I see women for.
Mm.
And mental health, I mean, you can split menopause symptoms into sort of categories in terms of vasomotor, psychological, physiological, but what I call kind of the mental health umbrella of the menopause. So the
Mm.
brain fog, the irritability, the anxiety, and that can have a massive impact on people's working life as well, with the loss of confidence, loss of self-esteem. They're in meetings and they can't remember the colleague's name. It just really impacts on their
Yeah.
sort of functioning. So yeah, probably brain fog, mental health, kind of anxiety, irritability, weight gain, and the tiredness
Fatigue.
is
Yeah.
yeah, the fatigue is another biggie as well.
Yeah, it's interesting to compare notes because that's what I've put down as
Oh,
well.
really? That's interesting, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I put the most common symptoms I would have thought of, if from my kind of perimenopausal clients would be fatigue, brain fog, and weight gain.
Wow, got the exactly the same. That's crazy.
I mean, I suppose mental health kind of plays into that too in a
Yeah,
way.
definitely,
Um,
definitely.
so how I'm interested in your perspective, but how do you think nutrition plays a role in easing those sorts of symptoms?
So, I mean, with weight gain, I would say it's the education around obviously what you're eating, making sure that you've got what I would call nutritionally dense foods,
Yeah.
with fewer calories and more beneficial compounds, making sure the energy sustainability is there. So it's quite easy when you're busy and you're rushing around to just grab something quick, a sugary
Mhm.
thing or a white carb. But it's being able to sort of look at those food groups and think, well, actually, I need something that's going to be more sustainable in terms of giving you longer energy levels, so you're not having those sugar dips throughout the day,
Mm.
giving you that energy to be able to exercise and brace movement, making sure your diet's rich in protein and fibre, so you've got that
Mm.
fullness and reduced appetite. And I always say to women, like, with weight gain, it's about being realistic and managing expectations. And it's also about thinking about the mindset of your internal health and feeding your organs and the sort of quality of the food that we're putting in. And it's about
Mm.
that protective factors and your calcium rich foods for your bones, etc., and your proteins for your muscle mass. And it's about concentrating on the goodness of the food rather than faddy diets or
Mm.
starvation or, putting your body into certain states. I think with the tiredness and the energy, again, a lot of that comes from your food groups, making sure you're having small, regular meals, you're snacking on the right things, avoiding faddy diets. Hydration's a big one for me as well,
Mm.
making sure people are drinking lots of water. And with mental health and brain fog, just making sure you're getting those essential nutrients to support your brain function,
Mm.
fueling the brain. Sorry, that's my dog.
That's okay. I didn't even hear it.
Adding in also production and sort of mood regulating and sort of looking at your neurotransmitters. I'm just going to move out of the way. Looking at your mood transmitters, so making sure you're increasing your levels of serotonin. So it's just ensuring the sort of the right nutrition to support all those menopause symptoms.
Yeah, so nutrition can make a big impact
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
symptom reduction, as well as some of these other things. So, like the long-term health, shift in health parameters and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, there's a lot of confusion, isn't there, about what to cut out and what to leave in or what to put in a diet during menopause. What are like the particular food or ingredients that you would encourage women to reduce or avoid?
So I would definitely say alcohol,
Yeah.
because a lot of women I meet do say how their sort of alcohol consumption changes during the menopause. So your body does metabolize, can't say that word, metabolize it differently during the menopause. It can exacerbate hot flushes and
Mhm.
insomnia. It can worsen depression, anxiety, and obviously contribute to weight gain. So I do think it's important to sort of look at that in terms of well-being for your mental health as well.
Yeah.
Making sure you avoid refined carbs, highly processed food, excessive
Mhm.
sugar. They'll cause sugar spikes. They cause this increase in abdominal fat storage where you get
Yeah.
this visceral fat. Women classically come with this apple shape where they feel like the weight distributes to their abdomen, which again, because of the fluctuation in estrogen and progesterone, it causes weight to sort of in sort of premenopause, as women carry weight around our hips and our thighs, and then in perimenopause we have this increase in abdominal fat and visceral fat, which obviously significantly increases your risk of metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease,
Mhm.
stroke, type 2 diabetes. So as we were saying earlier, with the sort of right nutrition to try and improve that sort of abdominal fat distribution, it can worsen your mood swings as well, with the sort of sugar and the high processed
Yeah.
food.
Mm.
Caffeine, I would say, to try and reduce or avoid. It's a stimulant. It can worsen hot flushes. So there's definitely certain food groups there that I would sort of avoid for people, or at least look at modifying. Because let's be
Mm.
realistic, we're not expecting everybody to live to this clean level of health eating 100% of the time, but if you can sort of maintain it within realistic expectations, I think it's really important.
Yeah, sort of something like the 80-20 rule or
Yeah,
something. Yeah. But you're sort of doing all the right things 80% of the time and don't worry about the odd meal out and things like that.
yeah, because like we were saying earlier, it's
Yeah.
menopause, you get to that point in your life, and sometimes you just feel like you're existing. You're almost living in the shell
Mm.
of yourself. You don't feel like the same person. So it's about really ensuring that you're living your life to the full, and you're
Yeah.
enjoying life. So if that means going out for a meal, and as long as you're not sort of having those refined foods and sugary diets all the time, then
Yeah. You can make a big impact, a big shift, really, can't you?
uh,
So hormones and metabolism are so interconnected, aren't they? So I'm often explaining to my clients about how hormonal shifts affect their blood sugar regulation and even their cravings and things, which can end up being obviously a vicious cycle, can't it?
definitely.
Um, how do you see hormonal changes in menopause impacting metabolism and weight gain? I mean, you may have already touched on this, I think.
Yeah, so obviously there is, as we were saying, a lot of issues with estrogen and progesterone production. That's kind
Mm,
of the main thing that women are experiencing during the menopause, in that they are having a reduction in their estrogen. Which has an impact on how they metabolize things.
mm,
So the hormone fluctuations, it can lead to a slower metabolic rate,
yeah.
increased fat storage, as we were saying, around the abdomen, and you're decreasing your muscle mass, leading to weight gain and all those sort of long-term health implications. It can exacerbate all your menopause symptoms, the brain fog, the insomnia, and then that affects your ability to be motivated, I think, with your lifestyle. So
Mm,
that can lead to more weight gain. You're craving certain foods. You have unhealthy food choices. Your
mm,
blood sugars are very erratic in the menopause, which obviously has an impact on your fatigue, your sleep, your stress, your anxiety. So I think a lot of the hormone changes during the menopause are almost putting you in a negative balance to start with. So by improving that as much as possible and sort of homeostasis and balancing out that that dysregulation is the way forward, really.
And you would do that with HRT and
Yeah,
with
absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's
lifestyle.
a lot I could do. I could talk to you about HRT all day. I mean, I am a massive advocate for HRT.
Yeah.
And I think there's a role for it in balancing out the hormones. It's balancing your hormones back out to baseline, which improves the symptoms. It's giving you, rather than that constant fluctuation in the perimenopause, the
Mhm.
hormones sort of put you back on a what I would call an even keel and put you back on a steady rate, which will give you that motivation to focus on lifestyle, nutrition, movement, sleep, self-care. And obviously, let's be real about the protective benefits of HRT. You know, we need that estrogen to protect our bones against osteoporosis. We need it to protect our heart against cardiovascular disease. So there's lots of benefits to hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah, and also, wouldn't you say that it's neuroprotective as well, isn't it, for the
Absolutely.
brain? So I think that's one of the things people don't often think about. But we obviously know there's a brain element to the menopause where, you get brain fog and mood swings and things like that. But I don't know how many people really understand that when we have this drop off in estrogen, it sort of makes us more exposed. It makes our brains more exposed to damage. So HRT can be helpful, can't it, in helping to protect our brain long term?
Absolutely. And when we're having that fluctuation in our estrogen and progesterone, there's lots of other hormones that are in play as well. Uh,
Mm,
your serotonin levels fluctuate with the
mm,
reduction in estrogen. That's your feel good hormone,
yeah,
the get up and go, as we were saying earlier. So it's a big sort of level of complexity to obviously the brain and the hormones.
yeah,
So it's just educating people about that is
yeah, yeah,
really
sure.
important.
And like, are there sort of like any particular dietary patterns, like like the Mediterranean diet, something I talk to people about a lot, for instance. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want you to tell me what you do, that tend to work well with your clients. What I just want to compare notes.
Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. I do advocate certain sort of food groups, as we were talking
Hmm.
about. And like I said, I think a lot of it is about that nutritional rich food and
Yeah.
the health. The Mediterranean diet, obviously, we know has been tried and tested with the fruits, the veg, the nuts, the healthy fats, the healthy
Yeah.
proteins, which is great for sort of weight management, reducing your risk of cardiovascular disease,
Mm.
improving your bone density, lowering your risk of breast cancer. So there's all those benefits from it's not just about losing weight or weight gain. It's about all those other things that come into play as well. I think I am quite an advocate for calcium,
Hmm.
making sure people are getting enough calcium from the diet, and if not, adding in supplements for that, because we need to make sure we've got adequate calcium for our bone protection, making sure we're having a diet rich in meat and fish and eggs and dairy and our protein for, again, our muscle mass and bone density. I do advocate low GI foods as well, so
Yeah.
making sure that people are having the right fruits and veg and grains and nuts and dairy, so that they're slowing that rise in the blood sugar. Because again, as we were talking about the hormones, insulin production and the estrogen, the
Yeah.
progesterone cycle, again, has a massive impact on that peak and trough in your blood sugar,
Mm.
fueling you for longer, and reducing fatigue and chronic diseases. And I'm a big advocate for fibre as well, because I think that helps with having that sort of slow release energy, feeling fuller for longer. A lot of women get digestive symptoms in the
Yeah,
menopause,
they do. Yeah.
reducing our risk of colorectal cancer. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I think they're the kind of sort of things that I hone in on with women.
Okay, that's great, fascinating. And we sort of talked about HRT. It's such a big topic, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would
Okay.
you say that HRT should always be an integrated approach with diet and lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think, some women feel they just need to go on HRT and then that's the magic key for
Yeah.
everything. So again, that's part of what I feel my role is as a menopause specialist, is educating women that HRT is one piece of the jigsaw, and that's
Yeah.
like it's good to have that holistic approach, looking at all the other elements of a holistic lifestyle. But I think it certainly does help in terms of the protective benefits, improving the symptoms, which then gives you the motivation to focus on your lifestyle. Some women
Mm.
choose not to have HRT. Some women can't have HRT. It's a very important thing to do a risk assessment based on the best route and regime for people, on an individual risk assessment based on their family history, the past medical history, their
Yeah.
medical conditions. And there are other non hormonal options out there in terms of prescribing. So it's a minefield in itself, really. But there is always an option. I always say to women, there's never, there's always something that we can try to improve things. So I
Yeah.
think it's really important to sort of not disregard it or think it's the be all and end all. I think it's just having that understanding that it is part of the menopause journey, and it's something to explore.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And other than well, you mentioned calcium, didn't you? But are there any other supplements you
Yeah,
routinely recommend?
yeah, I think magnesium glycinate is a good supplement
Okay,
I
yeah.
recommend for women in terms of improving mood and sleep and energy.
Mm.
Cod liver oil for sort of joint pain and brain function. I have a lot of women that come to me, they open the carry bag full of supplements and herbal remedies, etc. And there is a lot of things out there on the market. I do have some reservations and worries about sort of certain companies or businesses sort
Yeah.
of honing in on women's vulnerability and putting the word menopause in front of it and
Mm.
putting a high price tag on it, and women think it's going to be
Sure.
secure, whether it's a shampoo or a hand cream or you know
Yeah.
it's about, again, helping women get that right information to make an informed choice. If you
Sure.
are going down the road of herbal supplements, it's really important to make sure it's regulated,
Yeah.
because it can be dangerous in higher doses or impact on other medications. So I always say to women that if they choose to take supplements, to make sure that it's the traditional herbal remedy, it's got the THR stamp on it, so you know that it's officially regulated in terms of quantity and dose, etc.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, I see people taking a lot of supplements. I also recommend certain supplements, but you do have to be very careful.
yes,
And one of the things I'll always do as well is, like, I'll look at any interactions between
yeah, yeah,
well, not hormones, sorry, not usually hormones, but between any medications that it might be on and any supplementation. And I
yeah.
think that's something that people don't think about. Like you say, when you see people with that bag full of supplements, how are those interacting with each other? How are they interacting with anything else you're taking?
I think that's sort of a big thing that
Yeah.
big sort of gap in people's knowledge with that. I've come across a lot of women that are on certain supplements, and when I've looked into sort of the
Mm.
prescribed medication as well, these big drug interactions there. So I've sort of,
Yeah. And also the doses, because I mean, do people realize that, in really high doses, some of these things can actually be counterproductive?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
my magnesium glycinate is something I recommend frequently too, but I've seen people on really, really high doses of that, and you think, well, that's not right.
Yeah,
Either that's like not the right quantity that's being advertised in that supplement that they've got, or they shouldn't be on that because that's dangerous.
absolutely. Yeah, it's really quite frightening when you scratch below the surface, because obviously internet people can buy lots of different things
Yeah, buying on Amazon a
marketed
lot,
in
stuff
a
like
way
that.
that
Yeah,
people think that it's beneficial, but like I can say, it can
yeah,
be counterproductive.
yeah. I think this is one of the areas where expert advice is really important.
Definitely.
So okay, for any women watching this, what can they do today? That's what I'd like to know. What are your sort of three simple, impactful changes that a woman in midlife could make today that would really support her hormonal health?
Ooh, I would say the three things for me is eat well.
Hmm.
So quality of your food, nutritionally rich, not processed. Really look at your food groups and what you're consuming for your internal health and your well-being. So yeah, eat well. That would be my first one. Move daily. I think it's really important, obviously, for the physical and mental health benefits of exercise,
Mm.
to release them endorphins, to reduce your visceral fat, increase your metabolic rate, improve your mood. And I think a really good concept to discuss with women is something called exercise snacking. So where you're doing short bursts
Mm.
regularly, to make it achievable and realistic. So 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and having a variety of different movement, whether it be cardiovascular, strength
Mm.
training,
Mm.
core work. So moving daily, eating well, and the last one I would say is prioritizing your sleep.
Yeah.
Um, because having good quality sleep sets you up for the next day. We all know how it feels when you've had a bad night's sleep. And
Mm.
obviously, with the menopause, insomnia is another classic symptom with the menopause, whether that's because you've got a hot flush or you're anxious or you're just not sleeping because of your hormone fluctuations. But by really sort of practicing some sleep hygiene can help
Mm.
improve your cognitive function, give you a stronger immune system, better mood and emotion regulation, and reduce your risk of long-term health conditions. So my three pieces of advice would be, to summarize: eat well, move daily, and prioritize sleep.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that that goes for a lot of conditions actually.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's great. So I think we've learned quite a lot today from you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for joining us. Yeah, thank you for your time. If anyone sort of watching wants to know how to get in touch with you or how to work with you, what should they do?
So my clinic is called New You, and that's spelled NUYU. So I'm on social media platforms. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, as New You Menopause, and I do very regular posts with education and advice and support and expertise. So there is always a lot of information on there. I'm on LinkedIn as well. That's sort of been helpful building up sort of support with businesses. I have a website which is www.newu-clinic.co.uk. You can email me at info@newu.clinic.co.uk. I have a mobile. I'll put all this on a link:
Yeah.
07511 239 382. But we can share all this, can't we? I've got quite a few workshops coming up. I've got a series of 6 workshops focusing on 6 individual menopause symptoms. So there's one on brain fog, one on anxiety, one on joint pain, one on weight gain. So there's lots of different sort of workshops. You can just dip in and out of them, or you can do the whole course. And I'm collaborating with a wellbeing and yoga teacher for those.
So
Emma, a wellbeing
are those
coach.
online or
Yes, yeah.
right?
We've got all the links on social media, so you can
Oh,
just
great.
message and we can send you the link to get you signed up. So yeah, I'm collaborating that with Emma, which is really exciting. Obviously, you can contact me for one-to-one consultations and any education or support or workshops.
Mm.
I'm always looking for sort of new dynamic ways of working. So yeah, there's lots of ways to contact me, but I'll really look forward to hearing from people.
Great, great. So, yeah, as you sort of said, what we will do is, in the show notes, we will have all of those links and all of those ways that people can get in touch with you. So they don't have to remember them or spell
Yeah.
them correctly. So that's great. And anything else that I feel is relevant from my side, I'll probably share in those show notes too.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Then that brings us to a close. Hopefully everyone feels they've learned a lot about, the ways that they can go about reducing symptoms, improving metabolism, and, really getting to grips with educating themselves around menopause.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say menopause is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the
Sure.
beginning of this new chapter of your life. Obviously, a lot of people go through these hormone changes in the 40s.
Mm.
We're living till our 80s. So it's literally the second half of your life you're having to deal with this hormone imbalance. So it's about optimizing everything to the best of your ability to live to your fullest potential and just be happy and healthy and just embrace the next half of your life with confidence and empowerment.
Lovely. I love that. Thank you very much, Louise.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.